Thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us. Again, first and foremost, have to give a shout out to the community here for Billy, the blue whale. Billy to a Billy, as they like to say over there. Jumped in the community yesterday when I did let Jay know I was going to have to push back the call. Community was awesome, like very welcoming. I think I got about 35, what up Maurice's when I jumped in there. There was only about 110 people online at the time. So really good engagement ratio in terms of the people who are in there and active. And it does seem like they really like the branding. And as I said, I'm not so much typically a meme guy, but I did really connect with the brand on this one. Whale, as I mentioned, it's a term you hear in the space synonymous with somebody who's got, a lot of wealth in crypto, a lot of money to invest, and every project's always looking to attract the whales. Well, you guys are kind of branding out yourself as one. So it's definitely unique. I mean, ultimately, if you guys can really push some crazy market caps, you're going to create a lot of, Billy whales with like blue whales within whales. So you guys are going to be creating kind of like creating wealth if you guys are able to push. And, as that occurs, and people within your community have been holding from the beginning, if their bags start to get quite heavy, and you can just keep playing into the branding, right? So it's kind of very unique situation you could be in, is if you can create some good generational or some good wealth for people as the community and the token keeps pushing, well, that the narrative of being a whale just gets that much more true for people who have been holding your token from the beginning. So you could even have your become a whale with blue whale. There's so many different ways you can brand it, and that's why I said it's very clever, it's very smart in the way that you've scaled it out. And then again, we hear most meme coins, I don't know, probably 60% of the ones that come on to the spaces that we do on Sundays or Mondays, they're talking about, we want to run this up to a Billy. Well, these guys have that baked into their name, but in a fun and approachable way. So it's not like one of those outlandish claims. Again, they're only around $1 million market cap right now, so still a ways to go. But it's something that we hear quite often, and the branding, the narrative is clever. And I think a lot of the times what we see for memes is, a little bit of copy and paste. How many Pepe's, Pepe 2.0s, Pepe 0.5s, inverted Pepe's did we see during that run, right? So I've personally never been somebody to jump so much into these copy paste narratives. I like when somebody takes a little bit of a step outside the box and tries to push. So yeah, again, really good community, some interesting content being pushed out of there so far. As they keep growing, that's going to be the focal point, I think, content creation, community growth, and onboarding. And yeah, first time working with the team, but I like what I've seen so far. They've been kind of bouncing around that 500K to $1 million mark for the last week and a half, and their all-time high. I suck at reading charts, but just based on how that looked, it was around 3.8, 4.2 million range. So yeah, again, you guys have been steady, and longevity does mean something on Sol. So sometimes it's just, if you can stay alive for a month, you'll start to get action and some extra eyes just based on that. So you guys are well on your way. Like the branding, for anybody who's unfamiliar, just make sure you're paying attention throughout, jump into the community over there at Whale and do your research. But I'll throw Jay the mic for his introduction.
All right. So thank you. Thank you, Maurice. Appreciate that. And such a great, colorful explanation of what we're doing here. And so I got into crypto. I know you said 60 seconds, I'll be brief. Crypto in about 2017. A friend of mine told me about it in February. I was real busy and didn't start taking notice till maybe May. I remember Ether was at $88. Bitcoin was at 2,500. And I found some crappy little shit coin and, put 10K on it, and it 10x'd in a month. And I was like, whoa, I guess this is what he's talking about. And at that time, I remember there was only 600 projects. So you could go on CoinMarketCap and just dig through anything pretty quickly. And, I remember Binance launched in the summer. It was at 10 cents, BNB. Everyone was excited. KuCoin, but didn't even exist yet. It was just, early, just the beginning of that, or the end of that second cycle, right? And then I got into leverage trading with Crypto Faces community. I was a board member in his community. Still on. It's just not as active as it was because he's kind of busy on YouTube now. And I dug into the the DeFi summer with YFI came out, kind of rode that wave, and then now we're in meme season in our fourth cycle here, right? So that's kind of like my brief overview of how I got into crypto.
You got an impressive background, Jay. Holy shit. I can't lie, like that, I wasn't expecting that much depth. So that's really unique, right? And that's what I always say. Maybe not your first project technically in terms of running it, deploying it yourself, but you've been around, active, helping, and like studying the space as you mentioned for multiple cycles. So it's like that kind of experience that may not matter to the average shitcoiner or degen or meme coin fan out there, but to me, hearing that you have that much experience in the space and have gone through cycles and understand what can work, what can't work, doesn't mean it's going to have a immediate impact on your chart, but you have a lot of experience that you can bring to the table in terms of managing FUD, maybe repositioning if something doesn't have the effect initially that you were hoping it does. So just the ability to change kind of in real time with experience like yours definitely becomes a little bit easier because you've seen so many different examples, I'm sure, over your time of how people can pivot successfully, and then maybe, more of the horror stories of what happens when things do go wrong if changes try to occur, right? So I think, again, for me, that level of experience, even though you guys aren't building out necessarily like, the most technical project, it's needed because you understand what people are kind of looking for and how people will, buy throughout different cycles and different points of the cycle. So, it's definitely, it's an intangible, I think, that you can bring to this project that maybe not everybody would relate to, but definitely hits home for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I've just seen, even in the beginning of this meme season, right? It kind of started kicking up in October. And my same friend who got me into crypto in 2017 was like, hey, buy this token. I know the devs. It was Cock and Kimbo, right? Because Sol started popping off first. Then the AVAX guys were like, hey, let's launch some memes. And those were the first two that came out that were really strong. And obviously, Cock's on its way to becoming $1 billion project. Kimbo's been hovering between 30 and 40 mil right now. And I got into those day one, right? So made some good money on there and watched how they built it.
You're talking about Cock on AVAX, right?
Cock on AVAX. Yep.
And yeah, no, that's an awesome community. I've been following that one since I think 9 million. So yeah, really, really cool. And
I got into both of those.
I wish I knew how to bridge my. I have a bag of AVAX, so like the only two things I really bought into altcoin wise, a long time ago were like Hedera, HBAR, and that was through one of our community members, Phantom. He's been super bullish and was like talking my ear off about it for months. So after about like 7-8 months, I finally pulled the trigger, bought in like January 2023. Luckiest time to buy because like that was pretty much peak floor of the bottom around like 3-4 cents. And then I bought a bag of AVAX, but it's like funny because I work at the space, but I like since I came in, I'm a newbie compared to you. I only joined in 2021. I did have a lot of experience in TradFi, so investing, I understand like the concept of holding and stuff, but not in crypto. So yeah, it was really different for me when I came in because I bought AVAX, loving the TVL and some of like the factors behind the chain, the blockchain itself.
Right.
But then I was like, I don't know really what to do with the AVAX, right? So I wish I was on my game when I started following Cock because I saw it around, like I said, 9 million the first time. Watched it run from like 9 to 20, being like, I should probably buy this. It's gonna keep going. And then I didn't. And then now it's at like the last time I checked it, it was like 187 million. And I've just kind of stopped looking because it's like one of those things I just keep kicking myself about when I see it.
That's too far now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be like one of those things where you see Pepe or Floki, for example. Floki was a really cool one because I was lucky enough. I had the pleasure of getting to have an AMA with Cobra, who was a former community speaker for Floki. And we hosted them for 3 hours. And that was back when they were like 200-ish, 300 million range. So like kind of dipped pretty low, like almost right in the bottom of the dip. Now they're back at like 3 million or 3 billion, sorry, ish. The last time I had kind of checked a week or two ago, but it like that type of thing. Hosting them at 300 million, I know people weren't probably going to buy much of that. We didn't charge them for the AMA one because like that market cap, that project, I'm like, it's just a cool experience for our community to get to have you guys come by and really talk about how you've built out. And the AMA lasted over 3 hours. But yeah, the concept of being late at that market cap, hoping it can keep going, but you never know when it's going to pull like that Pepe or that Floki and go like 10x from 300 to 3 billion.
No doubt. I mean, what I've seen is with the ones that came out, in the last cycle or the cycle before that, once they cross a certain market cap, like 50 million, 100 million, and then even when a bear market hits and they dump down with everything else, those usually just come back to life, man. They have so much momentum and power. And, right now, like our project and some other projects are going to hit that same zone, right? I mean, there's no guarantees, but anything that crosses up into that range and continues on this bull run, because as we know, technically, until the halving is over, nothing's really happened yet, which is insane in itself, right? We can talk a little bit about that. This has never happened before. So people who are following the charts for Bitcoin for the last 3 cycles are like, oh, look, we're dipping down, halving happens, and then we're going to pump up and we'll have, 15 months. It's like the same thing over and over, but not this time. This time, because of the ETF, everything's changed. So we're like in uncharted territory right now, which is fascinating in itself.
Oh, it's interesting you mentioned that because a lot of people, even from like an analysis standpoint, they're kind of confused what to do, right? Because Bitcoin never broke all-time high before the halving, and with this institutional money and the volume coming in, like we've just never seen that before in the space either. So yeah, it's really really interesting, and I think what I've found really effective is with somebody with your knowledge, if you're able to kind of pass that down and help with the community onboarding and just especially for people who have less experience than you, that's how you can really outside of having a good clever brandable meme, having the experience and knowledge to help your community, I think goes a long way. I mean, personally, the memes that I've always found that I gravitated to the most were ones that had founders really geared towards education and onboarding, which is not a kind of a topic that often is the focal point within kind of the meme or the degen community, right? So I think with the fact that you guys are, your name's Whale, so obviously, in crypto space relates to somebody who's got a good amount of funds. Oftentimes you're going to assume whales are pretty savvy, pretty smart. So what are you guys doing to maybe onboard, educate, and help out people to really like enhance the knowledge level within the whale community? Because then that's really like when you can push that whale brands, because whales are smart, whales are savvy, but not necessarily sharks. Because I would say I split whales and sharks into 2 categories in crypto.
Definitely. And even in nature, right? Because sharks are fish and whales are mammals, right? They actually breathe air, which is interesting. And the blue whales are the biggest.
Sharks were out there killing whales, but now we learn as we're adults that it was actually orcas out there doing the damage to everybody.
That's right. They're like gangsters. They're like the gangsters of the sea, man. They slap dolphins and shit. It's crazy. Those orcas are intense. And so to answer your question, it was a great question. Is as new community members are coming in, right? We have this amazing group of admins that just kind of formed, right? When you start anything, a company or a meme token, or you're building a new layer 1, right? You just attract a certain amount of people based on the vibration that you have inside and what your intention is for the project. It's just life is like a big matrix, right? And so if you're negative inside, that's what you're going to attract. If you're positive, that's what you're going to attract. And so the core crew, there's 5 of us of the core team, and we've all known each other for years. And then we've got the admin crew that's just expanding, that's really getting behind this, because one of the main reasons we built this is because we were all investing in tons of projects, in good projects, right? Layer 1s, layer 2s, anything that has like a really cool, life-changing tech for the world, and those usually take longer to expand than a meme. Then we're investing in memes too, right? Because they just move fast. The problem is most of them are rugs, especially on Solana. They're rugs, they're honeypots, right? You see a chart going up the first day and you think it's going great, but then you go to sell it and you can't even sell it, right? Or the team launches it and somehow has, 80% of the supply mixed into a bunch of wallets, and then they're just dumping on everyone's head. There's all these different shitty scams out there. So we figured, all right, well, what's the safest way to invest in a meme token? Let's launch one, right? And the two devs that I met years ago, it was funny. I called them and I said, hey, you guys know how to launch a project in Solana? And they were laughing. They're like, holy shit, man, we were literally just talking about this, that we were going to do it just because there was so many coming out and so many scams. Let's try to launch one that's legit and see what happens. So the five of us got together, put all our own funds in, put in that liquidity. As you can see, the liquidity is nice and thick. We weren't cheap with that. And the ratio is really good. And then we just started building. And I definitely learned a lot from watching Cock and Kimbo. Now, Cock obviously had a huge advantage because they were the creators of the chicken NFT set, right? So they had a huge community behind them already. And then Kimbo too, like one of the founders had a nice crew, I think, in a Discord, and it's like, hey, we're launching this thing. You guys want to jump on board? They actually got sniped. That's how strong that community is. So some dude sniped them on their fair launch, got a whole bunch of tokens. It pumped up to 30 million, and then he dumped it down. And we were able to see on the blockchain, everyone was like, oh, look, here it is. He was even bragging about it in Twitter. And then the community was like, look, this thing's so cool. It's a dog named after one of the main devs in AVAX. And then the community just built it up and just built a whole bunch of awesome memes and was raiding Twitter nonstop. And that's one of the best ways to build a meme, right? You have to just continuously get your energy and your attention out there so people can see you over and over. And like you said earlier, the longer you survive, especially in a market like this, it's just so saturated and it's moving fast. The longer you can survive, people get impressed because they realize, oh, wow, this is not easy, to keep people excited, and you got to keep spending money in the background, right, to get people's attention. So now another major aspect of succeeding in a meme that I'm seeing, right, is a similar energy that happened with GameStop, right? So with GameStop, you had that just an old video game company, and it's not doing well, and all the big hedge funds decided to short it. And then this one like famous YouTuber was like, I really like this. I like GameStop. I'm a gamer. So he decided to tell his, community, hey, I'm gonna buy this, and started telling everyone, if we all buy this, this $1 billion fund is going to go under, but we have to hold it, right? We have to buy and hold and let the value just continue to climb. And he actually pulled that off. And that's a similar energy that has to happen with a meme token, right? So you have to get enough people who believe in this journey. Like, all right, you know what? We're gonna aim for 1 billion, right? I mean, everybody wants to hit 1 billion, not even just crypto, but companies in the real world too, outside of this digital finance that we're into. They all want to hit 1 billion too, right? That's what a unicorn is, right? So you get enough people to buy and hold and ride that wave. You keep setting up new floors, right? Next thing you know, you're at 10 million, 15 million. You consolidate. All those people are holding. Then you get more people involved. It's all about building that kind of energy of people that want to take that journey, and it's got to be fun. It's a meme, right? So it needs to be enjoyable. Putting up all kinds of cool artwork, and we've got some cool artwork coming out. That'll continue to expand as the community grows. You get more artists, and with AI, you can make anything so quickly these days. So, you got to have the core crew, then you got to have the community expanding, and we have to just continue to do like AMAs like this with top-notch callers like you guys. Show everyone that this is a real project, and that I mean, we did everything right from the start too, right? We signed up for CoinMarketCap, signed up for CoinGecko. We paid the $5,000 with our, out of our own pocket to get the CMC listing. Updated DEX tools, updated DEX screener. We got a 99 DEX tools score right now. Liquidity's locked, contracts locked. So it's like that stuff's already out of the way. That's done. And now it's a matter of this, and also just letting people hear our voices. Obviously, we're remaining anonymous just because so many scammers, right? We don't need a bunch of. I already have 1,000 DMs a day of scammers, and I know, Maurice, you know what that feels like too. I'm sure you get even way worse than me. But we can continue to expand on that question.
The one
I
that
hope I
bugs
answered
me.
your question enough, though.
Yeah, no, you did phenomenally. I was gonna say the one that bugs me is the fake versions of us that are out there. Not
Oh,
not so much the people in my DMs being like, "Hey, man, like we can do this for you or your projects." I don't even respond to those ones, but the ones who are like the fake Maurice, fake Caesars, or just random people who would just throw our name in their bio or their title and then act like they work for us, but have no at all place on our channel or even part of our community. I had I've been working with GMR, like Gamer Finance, from back, like they launched back in like 2021, so you'd know them. They're still around. They rebranded to Gamer. Still doing well, still talk to the team, hosted them, but their founder messaged me being like, do you know this guy? Like literally yesterday, and we've been working with these guys for almost 2 years now. Being like, hey, you know this guy? And it's some random dude named like Caesars, but he didn't even spelt it right. But he had a fake Venom, a fake Travel, like 5 fake channels in a bio, and then our real one. So he's like trying to confuse people and leverage our real channel to scam people through his fake channels. And I was like, I hate people. Like honestly, like
oh
why can't you just like have a little bit of a backbone, like put in like a couple months of effort, and you wouldn't have to scam off our name anymore. But like people can't even put in sometimes like 2 days of effort in this space to do something for themselves. So again, I get why people are lazy and do what they do, but doesn't mean I agree with it. So yeah, I think you got a good experience. It's funny. I did want to make one point on what you'd said, because when you introduced yourself, you touched on the 500 projects roughly on CMC. Well, how crazy is it for you as an OG to now know that if you want to get it listed, you're probably gonna have to pay $5,000 out of pocket. Like that's how far not legitimacy, because obviously it's still a decent place, but like that's how far the space has shifted to like just give us money, right? It's like everybody wants to make a cut off of everybody else who's building something. So yeah, and that brings me to one of the points I wanted to touch on. Like in your first 3 weeks, one question: why Sol? Like so, just like I know that's something that people are always curious about. Why you guys chose Solana? I'll have you kind of maybe answer that, as well as my second part, which is what have you found works when it comes to the community building ROI standpoint with some of your like marketing or engagement initiatives, and what have you found like really does not have an impact, what specific to the chain that you've chosen, which is Sol? Because some marketing activities that really do well on ETH have no impact on that chain, and vice versa.
Great questions. So first one, we picked Solana just because of the volume, right? There's just so much more activity happening there, even though, they've had a couple glitches where they shut down for 5 hours, right? But no one seems to care, right? And I think another benefit of Sol is the transactions are really cheap. The downside to that is you get all the scammers in there, right? And you also get people dumping, right? If you launch a project on ETH, who's going to take $100 profit for $100 gas fee, right? So, you just get the ups and downs with different chains. But for a meme token, we chose Solana because of that's where all the volume is right now, right? It's where the action is, and that might change, right? Next cycle, it might be something else. It might be AVAX, might be base, like who knows, right? There's like a whole bunch of new layer ones out there. So that's why we chose Solana. And then the second part of your question was like, what do we see working? What's not working? So there's so many ways to market right now with spending money, right? And a lot of them aren't that great, right? This one is great. So AMAs I find that are really helpful because especially when it comes to a meme, there's so many scams and so many inexperienced people building them. Like you could have young kids doing it. They have no experience, no money. And those are the ones you see just die even if they're not a scam, they just die within the first day or two because they're just like, wait, that was fun. And then they walk away. It's a business, right? I mean, just like anything, you still have to build it. Even though for a meme, what really propels it is the community. It's not the founding members, right? I mean, technically at this point, we could just be like, all right, community, you guys rock with this. And they could literally hit $1 billion. I mean, Kimbo was like that. A lot of the other memes are like that too. But we're sticking around and just helping and doing what we can in the background, like doing this. And we will continue to do that. Got some other plans, but just to name a few other of the techniques, right? Then you've got trending services, right? Like you got there's Sol trending and Solana trending. They sound almost identical, but they're two different communities online. They have the buy bots that everyone uses, right? And you pop up on the bottom as trending 1 through whatever, right? 1 through 30, and you can pay for that, and that helps get some visibility out in the space. That's not that bad. It's not that expensive. And then let's see, you've got Dex Screener and Dex Tools trending, which is like just organic. I mean, I've heard there's ways to kind of just like get up there without organic, but it's very difficult, very expensive. And as you can see, well, I'll tie into this later, but we'll talk about the projects that are going to 100 million market cap in like 4 hours, the first 4 hours. We'll talk about that, right? But so if you can get organic trending, that's like I see as the biggest way to get your name out there, at least on Solana. And you're gonna have to have a certain amount of volume, right, to do that. And you're like on Dex Tools, your Dex score has to be good, which we have already. So once we crank up into 10, 20 million, we'll probably start trending on there pretty naturally, and that'll just attract more of the big money in the space. Let's see. I think the biggest one, though, I know it sounds crazy, but this is how really I saw Kimbo do it, because they weren't really doing some of this stuff like we're doing here, this kind of marketing. It was just the community, man. The community just got big so fast, and they had that initial boost from one of the devs that brought his community in. And just kept attracting more people, and they were just raiding Twitter, and like that's literally one of the best strategies, at least now for this cycle. That's what's working the best. You got 100 Coles right now on Twitter with huge accounts. There's a lot of bots in there, but there's also real people, real traders, especially the meme degens. They're in there looking all the time, and they'll all just say, "What's the next 1,000x meme?" Right? And the community goes in and raids, and whoever posts the most pictures, the fastest, and comments and bookmarks and all that insanity, just savagely is going to stand out. And then some of those Coles will take note about you, and then they'll tell their big whales in the background that are hunting for what's a community that's actually got the energy behind it to make it to 100 million or a billion, and they start taking notice. Next thing you know, you start seeing $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 buys on your project, right? Because of that effort that the community made. And that's also great because the community is now earning the right to have that wealth, as opposed to just, I buy a bag and I sit back and I watch and wait for everybody else to do something, right? That's not the way the universe works. Laziness is not rewarded, right? You got to actually do something. So all those things, like, say, like, what
Just I
doesn't work
noticed
so
like
well.
a similar a vibe when I jumped in the community yesterday, because I mean you guys kind of had your initial launch day, like couple days from launch run up, like you see in the space often when the hype kind of gets behind a new project that hits live pairs, and then the retracement happens. But I mean, you guys haven't, from looking at your socials, haven't pushed, like, from what just from outside looking in, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't pushed a ton of paid marketing yet, which is not a bad thing. And when we kind of were going through the motions of jumping in, getting the announcement, when I kind of teased that banner yesterday in the group for everybody once it was updated, I noticed, like, we dropped it, then I kind of had to go do something for about half an hour, 45. I came back and I checked, and there was a few ads from me, and it looked like people had started to flow in some larger buys. I know there was like a 5 or a 10K that came in, and the community was like pretty pumped up. They're like, oh shit, like we're seeing some bigger
Yeah.
buys coming in, because we're starting to now push a bit of marketing, a bit. I mean, it's still organic. You guys are still trying to be active alongside anything you do paid, so it kind of multiplies the effect. But yeah, I did say, like, just based on what you were talking specifically, like I noticed that yesterday, like that strategy and your community even responding to the fact that a couple larger buys trickled in, was really, really cool. And again, that could have just been people who were in your own community that were just sitting there waiting, maybe only put in 10% of what they wanted to buy. And they were just waiting for some catalysts and some things to happen. Right. So yeah, it was really cool. And I noticed that the community was super hyped. Everybody was, having a good time. And then I made a comment. I think you guys were around 650. I was like, I'll pop back in when you guys hit a million, like later. Yep. And then you messaged me like maybe 2 hours later. I think I was in an AMA, and you're like, yep, hit a million. And then you're like, but some dude sold, and you'd sent me his buys and sells, and he had invested, just I think $8,200 like bought in, and he sold for like 84.70 something or 85.
Yeah,
like 20, like put in $8,200 to sell for like less than a $300 profit. So I just went in the community. I was like, well, at least that whale's out. He sold for his movie tickets and a thing of popcorn.
It was hilarious.
You guys, again, the community vibe's been there. Checked again overnight. You guys have had a nice little recovery back up. It's like I said, you just been fluctuating between that like 500K to $1 million range, pretty healthy. And you're coming up to like almost a month now runtime. I mean, April 11th will be when that officially hits. But like 2.5 weeks old. You guys are starting to get some staying power. How do you now get I call these people the low-hanging fruit, which are people who are Solana buyers, but they're buying the rugs. They're just out there getting wrecked, right? So like, how do you position yourself to those people that are just having a terrible go on Solana, and really show that, if they buy whale, you can't control what the price is going to do day to day, but what you can control is like, you guys are going to be there come tomorrow. They're not going to wake up and the Telegram's gone, like they, is probably the case with some of these other projects they bought into on Solana. So that's what I wanted to kind of ask, how you identify and maybe go after some of these communities that a lot of hype, but they're really like 24, 48 hour, just almost seemingly farms or pump and dumps where people are getting wrecked, but they're clearly active Solana buyers and would be right in your wheelhouse to try and pick up at probably less of a acquisition cost in terms of community members. And I know that's probably a word not many people will talk about when it comes to memes, because normally, holder acquisition cost is more of a utility discussion, but I think it's still relevant for a project like this.
100%. And that's a great question. I'm gonna make two other points first that I referenced, then I'm gonna answer that question, right? Just it'll tie into it. So one, when you first launch a project like this on Solana, a lot of the people that buy initially, they want the quick, 100x pump, right? So they like, oh, a new one. Just not really that great traders, right? They buy into it. We pumped up to I think it was like 3.5 million. And then if it doesn't go to 10 million within 12 hours, a lot of those traders are like, all right, next. I didn't hit the next Pepe, so I'm gonna go find it, right? And then you dump down to whatever level of the holders are holding, right? So the community is like, all right, I believe in this, I'm staying. And that's what the range that we've been in. And then we got on CoinMarketCap, and you had another influx of that. And that was that second small pump we had to like 1.5 million. A lot of those traders are like, all right, this didn't moon today, which is insane, but some do, right? So that's what they're chasing. And then they're like, all right, I'm out. And then they sell for a loss. Like most of the people that have sold so far sold for a loss or like a really tiny profit. And blockchain doesn't lie. It's all there. Right. So, and then the second point I wanted to make is just to touch on real quick before I answer that question about how do we get the Solana folks to come in here, is then when you look at Solana or you look at Dextrainer and you look at the top, 10 projects, you got 100 new projects coming out a day, maybe more. And you've got the ones pop on there and you can see the number. It has a little green leaf and it says, it's been out for 3 hours. you see them like Slurf, right? You see them come out and they go to like 100 million, 200 million in the first 4 hours. And they've got 100 million in volume or a billion. I mean, Slurf had like 2 billion in volume. So that's Wall Street money, right? A lot of times hedge fund money coming in and pumping the hell out of it, pumping in like 20 million, $30 million, and then pulling out like 50 or 60 or 70 million on that first day. And you can see it. If you look at the top traders on Dex Screener and Dex Tools, it's all right there. You can see people pulling out at different accounts, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. Like every address is pulling out 3 million in profit and just raking in cash. And some of them you see that this die, or they continue to pump it. So you've got that level of, you're just starting. It'd be like me right now, like I've got 200 million. I'm going to launch a meme token next week. I'm going to pump in $20 million. It's going to go to the moon right away. You're going to get organic trending. Everyone's going to see it, so on and so forth, right? Then you've got projects like us, right? Which is very rare, like you said, where we have good branding, an experienced team behind it, have some funds, and then we launch a project, but we didn't hype it up early, right? Because sometimes that helps a lot. You have a community behind you. No, we're building it now, right? So that's 2 ways of doing like a tier 2 launch, we'll say. And then tier 3 is like totally inexperienced people and scams, right? Which is probably like 90% of the space, right? So now how do we get people to come in and see us and realize, exactly doing what we're doing now, right? So doing an AMA like this on a top level platform like Caesars, a lot of people are listening now. They're going to hear about us. They've been rugged so many times, right? They've lost so much money, and I'm sure they've made tons of money too. I mean, I've lost tons of money too. Made a lot more than I lost, but I've definitely been rugged plenty of times, and just learned to laugh it off, right? It's like, all right, I don't know this team, and they just started an hour ago, so it's a gamble. But with us, we've already been around for a while. We're established. It's funny, right? It's funny to say 3 weeks we're like an established project. In the real world, it'd take like 5 years, but that's just the way crypto is. And then of course the rating, right? The more we do that, the more people see Blue Whale on Twitter over and over and over and over and over for the next few weeks, few months. They're going to take notice. These guys are still here, and man, they're at 10 million now. Damn, I could have bought them at $1 million, and so on and so forth, right? And then when we hit 50 million, that's when a certain level of trader that has millions of dollars that likes to invest 100K a clip. Nobody can put 100K clip in our project right now. It wouldn't work, right? They would lose like half even more than the value of their money. So they need to wait until we're up there and the liquidity is thicker and we're at a 50 million market cap. Now someone can put in 100K and ride it up to 100 million and then take some profits, right? And maybe even take out their initial. That's just a whole nother level. So we have to keep pushing as a community and the core team behind it to show everyone, hey, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. Be in their face. And the more we do that, we're going to get more people involved that want to ride the wave and hold. And then as we get up, we have a marketing budget, right? Initially we had 7%, and then the team bought some on the fair launch, and then we donated a whole nother wallet. So we actually doubled our marketing budget. We're barely selling anything right now because it's so low and we don't want to do anything to the price. But once we cross 10 million, we can pull out some of those funds and use them to continue to do AMAs like this. We can even take personal profits and use them if we want to enhance the project. We can start getting listed on exchanges, right? Sometimes that doesn't help initially, like especially if they want tokens, but all these listing fees, I think it's like 5 to 15, 20K for the low levels, 50 to 300,000 for the mid tier, and then the Binances are like $1 million, right? So as we ladder up in value, we can definitely utilize our marketing funds without harming our project and get to those levels. Oh, speaking of that, I want to throw something in here, Maurice, about this. Pretty cool. It's kind of a plug for my boy, but I've been involved with these guys. They're launching a decentralized OTC exchange that when a project like us needs to sell our marketing wallet, right? Right now, in order to sell a marketing wallet, we got to sell in the open market. We don't want to do that unless there's a much higher market cap and liquidity, so we don't harm the price whatsoever. Their platform is going to fix that. It's called Frictionless. I know the CEO well. He's a cool dude. We've been investing in projects for years, and they're going to be launching soon. And they're still pretty low. Their market cap's pretty low, so it's a good time to jump in. So if I wanted to sell my tokens, I'd go on their platform and say, all right, I need to pull out 10K to do a couple more AMAs or get onto an exchange, and someone would just buy my tokens, right? And it's totally decentralized. So it's using all the smart contracts and trustless. And I think a couple of the projects tried to do that, but they couldn't. But that will be really big for the space because, that's one of the issues that a younger project has, right? Where are we going to get the marketing funds when we have the budget locked up in tokens? So just want to throw that out there. That's another way we're going to be expanding in the future because, like you just mentioned, we haven't spent a ton of money on the, paid for marketing, but we can as we get more holders to join in on the journey.
You guys doing in terms of SOL trending and stuff like that? I mean, I know a lot of the paid for options can become quite pricey, but have you guys ever connected with True Trend?
I haven't, but we're trending right now on SOL trending. I have a nice connect in there, or I just
nice.
I send him some SOL.
I'll put you in touch with the founder from True Trend. Like he runs a meme token called Master Memes on Solana, but like they have their True Trend app, and for him it's all about networking. I've known Ken for almost 2 years, back since like probably early 2022. Nice guy. First worked with him on a very high level like utility project, and just kind of stayed in touch ever since. So I'll make the introduction. He's just really always looking for good people on SOL to add into his network. So you definitely be one of those, Jay.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Yeah, any resources you can share with us would be great. And I'll do the same for you if I have anything that you guys already know about, which probably doesn't exist. I'm sure you guys are deep in the space. But if I know something, a certain tool that maybe you can utilize or even share with with your community, I'm definitely open to help out in any way.
Yeah. And one cool thing, I mean, Caesar's been really, I'm sure you've noticed it, like Caesar's been really trying to get involved and help push Red, which was a community takeover. And they're always looking for friends and different SOL-based projects to kind of co-host spaces with. And, just again, the focus on a lot of the discussion there is going to be like education, onboarding, community building, what works, what doesn't. Bring people from the audience up to ask questions. I know Caesar does a lot of that on Twitter. Just, you can literally just be a, average Joe jumped on Twitter, crypto Twitter, maybe for the 4th time. If you have a question, you throw your hand up, Caesar may unmute you and come up and talk. So it's really cool that, I like that he's been helping out on Twitter because for me, it was kind of me on there from November 2022 until maybe a month ago. So yeah,
wow, you rode that bear market, nice. Man. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I built up the account from like 0 to 28,000 followers, and it wasn't through like engagement farming or contests or giveaway. It was just I would just go in and join spaces and talk, and people, if they liked what I had to say, would jump in. I'd pick up maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, on a good day, 100 followers from doing a space campaign, and just time and time again, repetition. And then, and like now Caesar's getting more involved and he's been able to, he's got a little bit more. Yeah, I always joke. It's like, it's more entertaining for him to jump on there and just talk than me. Like when I help my spaces and there's like clear cut, like topics that we have to cover or breakdowns on projects. So, it's the odd case where I kind of have the fun job between the two of us. I always tease him that I definitely have the better of the two, getting to talk to people all day versus being in DMs is in my opinion, a lot more fun. But now I'm like, you're getting some of that fun back from me. Cause when I'm on Twitter, it's more professional, more, structured, and you just get up there to just talk your, game, have conversations, meet people. So yeah, he's really been enjoying it, and we'll make that introduction and probably get you guys up in a Red like community friendship space if that works too, Jay.
Sure, yeah, I'd love it. Yep, anywhere I can help. People need it, man. Right? It's difficult to navigate the waters of crypto. It's complicated. It's fast moving. There's so many scams. So when you get people that are just good people trying to do, build something, or they're just trying to invest and make some profits, they need safe places to have conversations or invest. And I'm glad that you guys have created something, different ways for people to do that. And that's why we created Blue Whale. That's one of the reasons, right?
Beautiful. Sorry, I just had to answer a quick DM. And then for you guys, I know you, like I said, haven't been doing a ton of spaces. I don't know if the lineup's too crammed tonight. I'll ask Kid and Walt, but like, if you've seen their show, I kind of sit on the panel as a co-host for a couple of my friends' show on Twitter. Their main shows on Sundays, like the Kid and Walt show, but they've also introduced more of like a Thursday throwdown edition, which is kind of like the not new projects, but kind of lower caps I find on the Sunday. A lot of the projects that come by are like multi-millions. We've had Whiff as a headliner. I've brought Suka in the past. Squid Growth, some big communities. That my favorite one, it was kind of, we did one with Jack Levin, however I've heard people pronounce his name all three different ways. The Google, what was it, number 2021 Google employee, the guy who runs Zen Crypto, XEN. That was a really cool one. Yeah, he's just probably one of the smartest people I've ever heard talk. Just that's why it was such a cool AMA for me. Just I was like, holy shit, this guy is smart.
Very nice. Yeah, so I'm sure there's cool people.
We'll get you guys on. Then Meme Cultures on Monday night. Definitely going to get you guys featured on that with Coin Merge. That's a little bit of a later show, 8 p.m. Eastern. Great vibes. Typically get about 3 to 5K tune-ins throughout the show. So it's really been growing. We were like 200 to 400 when we first started. And myself and the CMO had a goal of a couple thousand live, and we're there. So now it's just, now it's 5,000 to 10,000 live. That's our next goal. So hopefully we can hit that over a couple more months of building. So yeah, we'll get you in for a couple of spaces. I'm going to send your contact info to Caesar because I really like you as a speaker. And I think you jumping on board some of these spaces that he does, again, I think it'd be really good. Get that cross exposure building for Whale. Yeah, man, I really like your branding. I'm a fan. I'm going to try and do what I can to help support you guys a little bit in the background, make some introductions, make some connections. You made that joke about how it takes 5 years to establish yourself as a brand or business in the real world. Well, I know it's not even 3 weeks here, but again, it's the fact that you show up every day, your community is active, the people that are there believe in what you're trying to do, and the positivity is high. So if you keep that positivity high and focus on the education, like people will really connect as they come into the community. I know I have my space, but what would you say are kind of like the next steps here, like the call to action that the next month? We're going to kind of go through what you would see looking like moving into April. Thanks so much, Kel.
Yeah, so we're going to need to continue to raid hard on Twitter, which our group has been doing increasingly, right? That's like number one for me. You have to keep that up. If you're not on Twitter with, posting memes and replying, you just don't exist, right? I'll have to do some more of these. And then now, if you're going to bring me into a couple other communities to talk, then that's another way, right? Because I can meet some more folks in those rooms and I can help them. And then they can also, if they're interested, join the Blue Whale community. And it's networking, right? You just expand as much as possible. Just a side note too, just to throw it in there. One thing we didn't mention is that the idea of the Blue Whale came from Luke Skywalker. He's one of our core team members. I know he's listening here, and he always loved blue whales. And then he mentioned, hey, let's do a donation to some nonprofits. So we throw that on our website. When we hit milestones, we're going to donate 10K at 10 million, 100K at 100 million, and a million at a billion to either one or multiple nonprofits. And then we'll post that in the community so they can see that, like we actually did do that. That's in the core team, not the community. The core team's going to do that. If the community wants to join in, they can also, that's up to them. It's their private profits and money. And then another side note too, is I actually have built businesses in the real world. One now that's been like 15 years and I sell products all over the world. So I have that experience too, just team building and getting a brand out there. This is a little different, but since I've been in crypto for all these years, it's kind of, there's a parallel to it. It just moves faster. Like we said, much faster. Like a month is 5 years, right? So, we're just going to continue to push, doing what we're doing right now. And the more people that hear our story, I just know it, because I know if I heard Blue Whale's story right now, if I was listening, I would be very excited to buy into it. I'd be like, oh, wow, they're at $1 million. It's not a scam. Liquidity's locked. The dev team is still there. And they're doing an AMA right now.
Oh, also you have good liquidity
Yes.
ratio for Sol, or any meme, pretty much. I will say, like, not just Sol, any chain, good liquidity. What is it? You guys like million market cap roughly right now? I think last time I checked, like 240, 260K LP.
Yeah.
So almost
ratio is going to stay like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and now there may come a time where if we're talking like pumpamentals, what you're looking to do, and it makes sense with the name, like you want, I'm gonna relate this back to the name, because again, I think it's one of the ways you guys are clever. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but whale, if you're a whale and you're wanting to sell and the LP ratio is 1%, you can't take any of your bag out. Like your price impact, if you're a whale and you try and sell and the LP ratio is shit, will be like 30-40%, and project AKA is going to probably mostly die after you nuke your bag in that situation.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't always, if you have a strong enough community to eat that dip, but just with one person having so much of an impact, not even because they're holding so much, but because of the LP ratio being so bad, it's not an attractive buy to other larger investors. So now you need to replace one with like 50 people, and it's not an easy game to play. Finding 50 people to replace the volume from one is very difficult. So yeah, I would just kind of say intrinsically, it seems like the thicker LP relates into your name, which is whale, which would allow whales or larger investors to put money in and be more confident that they can actually take some money out on profits on pumps, because the LP ratio is not 1 or 2%. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the things I kind of picked up on from the project and how it ties into the branding and the whale name.
No, you are right. And actually, thanks for mentioning that. We should probably put that somehow in a short message on our website, so the big whales can see, hey, this is whale friendly. This is a whale friendly project. When we're at 100 million and you've got 2 million in profit, you could take a million out, and it's not going to dump the price. You're 100% right, because that liquidity is just going to continue to expand as we get up to those levels, right? The ratio is just so good. Great point.
That's really smart. Again, I said it in my post. I think you guys are very clever with your branding.
Thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. I know you've seen so many projects, Maurice, so you have a good contrast to see what's a pile of shit and what has a really good chance of continuing to expand and becoming a staple in the industry, right?
Yeah, I do. And like I said, I don't even take AMAs with these knockoff memes. Like, if you're not unique, if you don't have your own narrative, like don't try and come on to my channel for an AMA. I'll bring you to a space maybe, and get you some exposure if you've been around for a while, if you have good staying power, sure. But I mean, I'm not really gonna, because I know our community, it's gonna come across disingenuous if I'm up here hosting a project where I would, probably never buy it. Like,
right,
I can't, especially like, utility projects is different, because like I'm really focused on the utility, highlighting the value that it provides, benefits to holders. There's a lot more depth to the conversation. But when it's a meme, if I don't even think the meme or the narrative is good, how can I get up here for an hour and be like, yeah, this is awesome, you guys are killing it? Like, that just seems so fake and phony to me that I'm just like, rather, save your money as a project. We're good. We don't need to take money from projects that we don't believe in or don't think can run or have at least some legs behind it, because it's not just, a copy and paste that anybody tomorrow could do the same thing. And then what you guys are now competing with is lower entry with the same thing. And you can't win when all it's about is X's. You can't. So yeah, you guys are in a unique situation. The brand is cool. The liquidity, like I said, there's some really clever tie-ins that you guys have done, from the liquidity, from the branding. And even if you guys do go the road of expansion, well, with the name, and when I say expansion, I mean cross chain, I would say Brett Base would be a really good second option, just because of the blue color scheme, the branding, and like I said, the memeability that you could do if you went to another chain, that would be the best probably pick, should the volume and hype stay there where it is right now on that chain. I mean, obviously it pulls a Solana from 2023 post bonk and goes from like the talk of the town to 2 weeks later, nobody wants to talk about it. Like, yeah, maybe not, migrating there. But if it stays really hype and the community wants to go cross chain, you guys could really scale the blue and the branding of base into Blue Whale. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities to take this even across chains in the future. So yeah, like really clever. I like the LP ratio. Yourself as a person, as a speaker, I really connected well with you, man. Like you're definitely gonna be an easy guest to bring around to some of these different spaces because you do speak to the project and just crypto as a whole very well. But yeah, no, really enjoyed the AMA. I would love to kind of keep hanging out, but I don't want to be too late to my 1 o'clock space. I did want to give you guys the full hour here though for the AMA because I did start a little bit late, and I'm not cutting your time short just because I had some issues with Telegram. So yeah, really enjoyed it, Jay. Phenomenal speaker. We will chat at DMs after. I'll see if maybe there's a spot tonight at late night for that Kid and Walt show. If not, I'll try and push for Sunday. I have a call with them tomorrow, and I don't monetize anything off their show. I know they primarily do paid slots, but I don't monetize anything or get paid to be there. So I'm hoping to convince the boys to at least give me 1 or 2 free spots for projects that I'm bringing, to make it worth spending 4 hours of my Sunday there on my day off. But yeah, so I'm hoping that they're okay with that. I don't think they'd have any issues. But yeah, like I'm hoping to get 2 spots per show on Sunday that I can bring memes from that we've worked with that I really like, because I'm pretty picky as a whole. We'll AMA 2 to 3 memes in a 2-week span. So there's not a lot of competition, which is also good for the projects. Like for our meme fans that really want to deep dive something, like the selection is more limited here, and that's not a bad thing because like a lot of times the memes that we have run very well. I mean, the last 3 that we've hosted that have all been meme centric have done quite well off the AMAs for X's. The most recent being Baby, and we actually partnered with those guys, and they hit like 50-something million yesterday. And yeah,
nice.
They're doing great. Yeah, I'll give you the final call to action. Really like your style, man, and we'll definitely see what we can do to help you guys out. It opens some doors, make some connections, get you on some spaces. But good branding, really clever, really good stuff.
Thanks so much, Maurice. Yeah, we appreciate your time. I know you got to jump, but yeah, we'll be in touch in DMs, and I look forward to jumping into some of those other spaces. And yeah, we appreciate your help, man. Just like the community, your community, our community, everybody working together always builds something great and bigger. And our community's looking forward to it. Thanks to everybody who's listening, all the Caesars folks, all of the Blue Whale folks that are on, all of our admins, our core team. And yeah, we look forward to hitting our next milestone. So we appreciate you having us on, and we'll be in touch.
You're honestly an awesome guy to host. Like I said, leading up to this, I was pretty excited to get you on the mic and jump into Whale. So one final time, guys, if you haven't already, please do at least as a baseline, take the time to join their community, whether it's their Twitter or their Telegram, so you can stay more up to date on updates and what's to come. But I really like the branding. Again, Billi to a Billi. You got the Whale branding. It's a terminology that you use a lot in crypto, and with the LP and the ratios set up the way they were, it is fairly whale friendly if you're a larger investor. So good, clever branding, unique narrative. It's not this super high. Again, you're not pumping like the super hype, shitty meme pre-sale. Like I hate that meta that came up a week ago. It kind of fucked up the space for a little bit. But like a genuinely unique brand. It's got some clever intricacies built into it. And you've been around, man. Like almost 3 weeks on Sol is not the easiest task. And the fact that you've been bouncing between that 500 to $1 million range consistently and never really dropped, much below that. You got a pretty good group of holders, it looks like, over there in the interim. So yeah, keep it up, and we'll connect and see what we could do on the back end to get you some extra exposure and push this thing to a new all-time high and just start its way to a Billi. So guys, do your research, jump into the community as always, but very fun, very approachable, a very unique branded meme on this one. So I do like it. And Jay is a great speaker. So yeah, wraps up the official AMA here with Blue Whale, or Billy the Blue Whale, as I like to call him. And yeah, just check out the community. You guys will be seeing some updates from us here as we bring them on some different spaces. So can't wait.